This move is going to show you how to make external components and why it's a good idea. So we've got the start of a robot here. It's got a couple of poles, and I'm wanting to now make a slider which will slide up and down on those poles. So I'm going to go Assemble, New Component, and when this dialog box comes up, I'm going to make sure that it's an external component by clicking that. And I'm going to name the component and click OK. And when you do that, you'll see a green thing comes up there, so you know you're making an external component. And I'm going to make the slider halfway up the poles. So first of all, I'm going to construct an offset plane, which is offset from this one. And I'm going to take it up the poles a little way. And there's my new plane, and then I'll go, let's create a drawing on this plane. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this new component so that it fits the parts that are there already, and I'm going to do that by projecting the lines from the existing parts into my new sketch. So I'm going to hit the letter P, and then I'm going to select all that stuff. So it's all lit up pink, and it says here that I've selected some lines, and I'm now going to project those lines into my new sketch. So now when I go to create a rectangle, I can hook onto these, latch onto that corner there, go across the other side and latch onto this other side there. And so this new part that I have created has been matched to the existing components. I'm also going to match the place where these holes are. So by picking it off, I can't see those, so I'm just going to go P again and just project that line in and that line in. So we should have some circles there. Let's see if we can latch onto them now. Yes, it is. And I'm making the circle that I'm drawing here be as fat as the pole which I've got. I'm just going to finish that sketch now and extrude it. So I type the letter E and extrude just this middle bit up like that, and it's done. So there's our external component made. So click OK on the extrusion. And now I've finished making that component, so I'm going to click on this green tick here, which will take me back to that. And now I want to make this thing slide, so I'll make a sliding joint. So I'm going to click on Assemble and say that I'm making a joint. That's going to come up in there. Motion, I'm going to different types of motion here. This one is slider, so we'll do that. Now we'll go back to the positions. First of all, we're going to select this hole in the middle of the slider. So that's the thing that's going to be moving, so it gets selected first. So in order to do that, I'm just going to hide this pole for a while. That pole is one of these things over here, which is called maybe external. Okay, that'll do. And so now when I go to select my joint, I'm going to select that, and now we'll bring that external back again, and we're going to try and make it slide on this. Okay, so we've now selected a sliding joint, so there we go. So now we've got this thing which can slide up and down on there. Now I'll probably go back to the rest of my robot, which doesn't seem to have anything on at the moment, and I'm going to start adding motors and all sorts of other stuff to it, and I may well find in the future that I've made the whole thing too small and I need to make it bigger. So this yellow part is called the base. There it is there. So I'm going to activate the base now, and the base has got its own timeline. And the good thing about using components is they have their own timelines. You don't have to have just one big timeline for your whole project, which makes it impossible to find things. So now I'm going to go back to where I started making this base, the very first sketch, and I'm going to edit that sketch. And I might have decided that this 80 mils was just too small, so edit that, take it up to 100 millimeters. And just click OK, finish that sketch. Which is okay. The base has now become 100 millimeters wide, and you'll see that this grey part no longer fits, it's too small. But because it was an external component, we can do this. We can find our slider, which is here. We can activate it. Just continue. And if we look in here, we'll find that we have assembly contexts. So the assembly context for the slider is the poles and the base. That's the context which the slider was made to fit. So if we open that and we look at this assembly context, the local one, the context here, and we activate that, and it says, do you want to synchronize your slider with this context? And we go, yes we do, thanks. And boom, it adjusts the slider so that it now fits, and so we can finish adapting our slider. Now we've made the base bigger, and the slider has also been synchronized with it. And the reason it was able to be synchronized with it is because when we made the slider, we projected the lines from the base and the holes and said that we want the size of the slider to be determined by the size of the base.